Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Lynn, and welcome to Weaving Energetic Healing into the Fabric of Everyday Life, where we'll be exploring the transformative power of energetic healing to revitalize the body, clear the mind, and uplift the spirit, promoting social acceptance and understanding. And I am your host, Linh Thai, and I'm a holistic practitioner, and I channel the living life force healing energy. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Blair Stanislao. Blair is the founder of Happy Lion Center, sorry, parent company of the meditation group Elevate Me Now, which was launched in 2018. She is also the creator and host of the podcast Mystical and Infamous, which explores practical ways to connect with spiritual concepts and how to apply them to daily life. Blair's own healing work blends her skills in hypnosis, energy healing, channeling, dream interpretation, astrology, and massage therapy, offering members and individual clients a holistic path to self-discovery and transformation. Blair is set to release her upcoming book, Silver Threads of Truth, alongside an implementation program called the Consortium of Ease Project, which supports readers in applying the book's principles to cultivate more joy, ease, and expansion in everyday life. So please join Blair on this journey of transformative and vitality through her approach in exploring practical ways to connect with spiritual concepts and how to apply them to your daily life. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure to have you on, and an honor. So if we could just start off with you giving us some more information, please, about your upcoming book, Silver Threads, and the Consortium Ease Project. And I believe it is a membership base.
Yes, it is. Well, there's actually, one of the things is as energy workers, we know that we're working on balancing the masculine and feminine. And so one of the big things for me in life has been learning how to cope with somebody else telling you who you are and what you should be doing. Okay. So I look at this as an open invitation. You're welcome to be there, but you never will receive any kind of guilt, or, you won't get any kind of flack from me through any of my programs. So even in Elevate Me Now, the meditation group, we are so happy to have everybody come there, whoever comes. But if they don't come, there's no big guilt trip. So yes, it's a membership, but it's a membership with that kind of feel to it. So
A free will.
Yeah. And of course, I have the option where you could purchase it, the entire program all at once if you wanted to, but we can do payments as well. So to answer your question, the book Silver Threads of Truth, we are still working on that. We've got a publisher lined up, and we're kind of, I can't tell you how far, because I've never actually published a book, so I can't tell you how far along we are, but we're on the way. And the book came about in a unique, like a conglomeration of several events. So I went into massage therapy after having been a public school teacher for almost 9 years. My husband had recently died, and I decided I needed to shift. I was putting a lot of energy into my students, and then when I got home, I didn't have enough energy to be as nice as I could be to my own children, and I had the
Mm.
ability to do that, so I chose to make them a priority. So
Mm.
that just meant reassessing what I would do for my work. Long story short, I wound up going into massage therapy. I have a story, a blog on my website about this transformative, like, monumental for me. Was I didn't think it was then, but it was monumental now. I know an
Mm.
experience, my first experience receiving Reiki.
Mm.
And so as I go into massage therapy, I remember, oh yes, that woman said it's called Reiki. I didn't even know how to spell it. I just
Mm.
like typed in sounds, and
Mm.
then I eventually found that. And so I went into Reiki after
Mm.
starting massage therapy. And
Mm.
that's where I really started to find my groove, in the sense that energy work was even more aligned with me. I love massage therapy, but I don't love it as much as I love the energy work. So
Mm.
for me, Reiki was like a door opening, right? It was, you finally
Yeah.
get to meet other people who get it, and you can
Yeah.
have conversations with them about anything. And anyways, I kind of found my people and my niche that way. And so I went into massage therapy, went into Reiki, and then just kind of led went where I felt led, right? So a couple of years later, I guess it was, I came up here at the end of 2017, and by 2022, I had already started Happy Lion Center and had this vision of bringing other practitioners like myself, maybe not exactly the same, nobody's the same as someone
Mm.
else, but
Mm.
their focus is similar, like it's spiritual based kind of
Mm.
healing, and essentially create like a team where we can help each other. So, like, I have personal experience of 25 years doing graphic design. So, I know how to make a website, right? I know how to connect all these electronic softwares to make things work for you. So, that's something that I contribute. And as other practitioners come in, they contribute their expertise as well. Um, and so you get that kind of a team environment. And so I had started that, and I knew that I wanted to do a meditation type group, but I didn't have something there. There was something missing. And then I had a client come in. Her name was Janelle V. Peck,
Mm.
and she came in for a hypnosis, and great hypnosis, went really well. Um, and less than a week later, she calls me up and says, "Hey, I got a message. Are you going to be in the office? Can I talk to you?" And I said, "Sure, I'll be there." So we sat down and we had a chat, and basically she got the message from Source that we should start a meditation group. And of course,
Mm.
I was already sitting on go, right? Like, I had been doing that for years, been preparing. Okay, how do I do this? Reaching out the way I knew to reach out, but didn't know what to do. I wasn't doing something right. So she comes in, my answer was, okay, when, right? How do we do it? So basically since then we really haven't stopped doing it.
Mm.
And we have evolved, like the schedule has evolved with the group of people that we're with, and so forth. But essentially we now meet 2 times a week,
Mm.
and we do a meditation. So it's a meditation that includes well, first thing we do is we chat like humans. We say, "Hey, how are you
Mm.
doing? What's going on?
Mm.
Anything new?"
Mhm.
That, however, does not take up a large majority of time. We spend less than
Mm.
10 minutes doing that, but it's
Yeah.
important. It's
That
a way
that
to connect.
that takes control too, to say
Yeah.
10 minutes of that chat. Because I've been in a group before that you're like, hey, it's been an hour. We really need to do meditation here. Yeah, so
Well, I think over the last 2.5 years, there's been like 2 times that we were all so excited to see each other and talk, and it had been a while that we actually didn't do our meditation. But,
mm,
2 or 3 times over 2.5 years, not that many. So, but
yeah,
in general, it's about 10 minutes. We do that. And then we do a little bit of Qigong, which is very similar to Tai Chi.
yeah.
And then we connect our energies, so very similar to Reiki, and we balance chakras and set our protection, that kind of stuff. Get the energies in the right position. And then most of the time, Janelle has already received a message from a previous meditation that she was doing on her own. And so she takes us down and we go into that meditation. The message is then, so we're in the right situation to receive the message, and the
Mm,
message is read to us.
mm,
Sometimes she channels more information. She also does
mm,
light language, and so we get to receive that too.
mm,
Um, and so we go through the process, and then we come out and we reconnect and check in like humans, and that's it. That's what we do.
mm,
And so what that creates is an environment where you've got a supportive social network. We connect with each other outside of the meditation too, as we feel fit. And so you develop a community, right? And it's a
mm,
community
mm,
based around, I know that meditation is important for my life, and I appreciate the
mm,
accountability factor that goes in there and the
mm,
guidance as we go in. So that's essentially what Elevate Me Now is. So through that process, over the last 2.5 years, we have received
mm,
many messages.
mm,
And both Janelle and I knew that we were going to write a book. We just didn't
mm,
know the details. So
mm,
we're kind of okay with that. All these messages come through. And then relatively recently, both of us got very clear messages independently. Now's the time, start the book. Okay. So essentially and I too have gone along my own journey doing other things, right? And so going on that journey, I have gotten better about being in that receptive mode. And I received the message to start this project, this group activity, which is very similar to the other things that I've done. Um, and so, I mean, I got details like boom, hardcore details are right there. And at the same time, I also got the message that I had a summit that I just recently did. So, like within a
mm,
week, I got both of those
mm,
things very detailed, laid out. And I finally realized, oh, this book that I've been working on with all of these detailed things that we're doing, that's what the Consortium of Ease Project is. It is like you had said, it's an implementation program for the messages that come from
mm,
this, okay, which
mm,
is
mm,
essentially from the Silver Threads of Truth. Okay. So once the
mm,
book gets published, basically people can get these spiritual truths
mm,
which are not based in any way on any kind of religion, any kind of
mm,
culture. They hold
mm,
true across all of humanity. Um, they could get all of it from the book, which we don't have
mm,
published yet.
mm,
Or they could get it from the book. And before we actually started writing the book, we had people asking us to create a tangible form of the messages. And
mm,
so we started
mhm,
making like Oracle kind of cards. We
mm,
haven't got those
mm,
printed yet, and we're going to add a
mm,
few more to those. But
mhm,
so there's all these nudges going along, right? So
mm,
you can read the book, you can get the cards, you can
mhm,
join the program,
mm,
whatever you want to do, whatever method is the way that works for you. It's just about getting those truths that come through into your life. And so the Consortium
mm,
of Ease is really in alignment with really who I am as a whole.
mm,
I very much am a person who says, okay, what do I do with that? Right? Not
mm,
just, oh, here's this really wise truth. And yes, it makes sense. It's like, okay, well, what do I like? How do I apply that? So let's
mm,
just take something. There's a concept of like, for example, who are you really? Right?
mm,
This is the first question that we ask. Who am I?
mm,
Okay.
mm,
And once you get a feel for who am I, the answer to who am I is,
mm,
you start to recognize it's not the physical body. So we're just going to take that
mm,
one aspect real quickly. Okay.
mm,
You are not the physical body. Your body changes throughout
mm,
time,
mm,
right? You experience life through your body, but that is not who you really are. Okay. So, but then the question is, fine, what do I do with that? Well, the most important thing you can do with that is learn to recognize that no matter what you're experiencing in your physical body, it's not the real story. It's not
mm,
the deeper meaning to things. It is an
mm,
experience.
mm,
It is
mm.
important, but it is not the essence of who you are, right?
Yes, yes.
So that's what this Consortium of Ease project does, is it
Mm,
helps you take ideas like that and actually say, okay, what do I do with that? Well, so what does that do for you realistically? What
mm,
it does for you is when you do something like break the viewers may not know, but I broke both my arms just a couple of weeks ago, my elbows. And what does that do? That helps me not to get completely bogged down in pain. It helps
mm,
me to not take what the medical system is telling me as complete and total truth.
mm,
Um,
mm,
it's it is something you can't deny. I can't tell you that I broke my arms. It's hard to do stuff, right?
mm,
But it makes it not as burdensome, not so kind of like this is fact. This is the way it is. This is what the world is, and this is what my life is. Okay. This is a part of my life. It will pass too. I will learn
mm,
stuff from it. I'm
Mm.
taking from it? What am I supposed to actually know about why did I break my arms? Like, why would I choose to do that? Right.
Yes, yes.
Um,
So it brings the element in of just because you're tapped in and you're into your spirituality, it does not mean the li life is perfect, whichever
yeah,
what
not at
perfect's
all.
supposed to mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you're trying to say that things will still happen and life
Yeah.
will still
Well, yeah. And
happen
then
and
how do you go about life in a way that makes those things that can be very burdensome not quite so bad? So, for example, my husband died. That was horrific for me. Like, it really did a number on me. I was completely unexpected. He was 43 and I was 35. So here I am, 35 years old. I have a dead husband and I had two young children to raise, and I have moved to where he lived, which I did like, but I liked it more because he was there. So now he's not there, right?
yeah.
So, that could have ruined any number of people's lives. And I'm not going to, it certainly didn't ruin my life. But for example, knowing these things, which I did know these truths before, I just didn't
Mm,
put them into words and put them out there. I didn't have anybody else to have conversation with. Okay. So
mm,
there's a large
mm,
number of people who actually already know a lot of these things.
mm,
It's almost like if you're a parent, I remember with my first child, it was kind of interesting to observe what I had when coming into being a first time parent, what I had learned through my life, what I thought parenting would be like.
mm,
Okay. How naive that was. And so it just didn't fit with me for a while. Okay. Didn't fit, didn't fit, didn't fit. And I'm a nerd, so like I read things. So one of the things I would do is read some books. And finally I got a different book. And once I got into it, I finally closed that book and I thought, I didn't read it all, but I
mm.
thought, I've been
You
reading
got
the
what you
wrong
needed.
book. Yes. Well, I mean, I kept going back to it as a reference book,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah, yeah,
but the thing was that that book aligned with me.
yeah.
And the other books I was reading, I would read it and I'd think, what? That doesn't really
Mm,
make complete sense, right? Like I don't
mm,
understand how that can work. And
mm,
whereas I read this other book and it explains it a different way, and it's like, oh yeah. So it's kind of like that. Like you have these we know things innately that we may or may not articulate. So the truths that come through the book or the lessons are things that are really important that we're getting through spirit are really important things for you to understand. Now, how do you take that and put it into your regular practice? So I do have a master's in education. Um, and so I know that that's going to help me structure all of this. Matter of fact, that's the kind of easy part for me,
mm.
because I have been a teacher, and frankly, my mother was a teacher too. So I like
Wow.
have always been swimming in teaching, and
Mm,
so that's part of the Consortium of Ease. And a large
mm,
part of teaching is largely putting yourself in the situation that creates the environment that allows you to simply blossom into your own realizations in a sense. And
mm,
so that's
mm.
that's really what these spiritual truths are about. It's about self-realization, recognizing the God within you, the God within others, right? And seeing it
Mm.
everywhere and understanding how this universe really actually works. So like
Yes,
that, I
yes.
can
And it's not
confidently say,
idolize.
say it
Sorry.
again.
I was just going to say, and it's not actually about idolizing something. And
Yeah. Yeah. So I can confidently say, I agreed, my spirit, not my physical, not my mental, not my consciousness, decided I needed to slow down.
mm,
It gave me hints before. I didn't listen well enough. And so I fall and I have this
yes,
accident. So,
yes,
and
yes.
taking that ownership of what is your experience in life, that's what self-realization is. And it's not taking ownership in the sense of, okay, then it's time to berate myself or judge
Mm,
myself or anything. No,
mm.
it's like you get to own all the good stuff just as well as the bad stuff, right? And
Yeah.
as you recognize that, then you get to approach life in an entirely different way. And so
Yeah.
that's really the purpose behind doing this. And just like every other healer, you were mentioning, life's not perfect. No, I'm still human, right? Like we're all definitely
Mm,
still human. And it's been my experience to realize that some of the most spiritual people have the most difficult lives. Like they have agreed to, just like I agreed to this, right? On whatever level, they agreed to have this difficult life so that they would be forced to look at these truths, right? So it's not it's not good or bad. Good or, like
Mm.
that's a duality. That's a misunderstanding essentially of the way that energy works.
Mm.
But
Mm.
it it is all there for us, and it's a matter of how we approach it as to what
Yes,
allows it to become easy, right?
yes,
Like if
yes.
you
And
have
our
a negative
perception.
attitude, yes, perception.
Mm.
And so it's kind of funny because I got the download for the program, but I didn't get the name yet. And then I was like, okay,
Mm.
what's the name? And then I went into Zone and tried to get the name, and I don't remember exactly how I got it. I think I got it again while I was sleeping. So I think I got the message energetically, and then I like half woke up and my brain started working a little bit. And I came up with this name, and or I received this name, however you want to say it. And it's been interesting because I've seen different responses to the name, like other people trying to help me with business and things like that, and they're like,
Mm.
"Oh, I'm not sure if this is good." And I'm like, well, that's what it said, and I'm okay with it, so I'm just going to leave it like that. But
Mm.
um, about a month and a half after I finalized the name, I had already made a logo, created page, written out all the stuff I had received. Um, I unplanned took I started the summit. Someone shared with me a free event to go to, so I went to this event. It was on human design. And long story short, through all of the learning I have done on astrology, on gene keys, on any of that occult stuff, leads up to this human design event, which is actually a free event. Okay, so I go to
Mm.
this free event. She shares with us, how do you see in a chart what you project out to the world, what people will buy from you, because this is a business-based one, right? And
Mm.
then what you actually deliver, which are not the same things. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
And in that, those numbers, which are referencing energies. So they're basically like a polarity. You've got the shadow side and the city side, and then the gateway, right? Ease is part of it, right? Ease is there, and then project and consortium, right? Consortium refers to a group. All of that is in my chart.
Mm.
So as soon as I saw that, I
Mm.
was like, okay, you know. But if I had not downloaded the name, right, weeks before, me and my mental mind might have questioned, well, I'm not sure if that's the right name, da 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 da. Da.
Yeah.
So, I
Mm.
mean, I just went with it and I dealt with the other people having their input and so forth. But when I got to
Yeah.
that, I was like, no, that's the right name. So that's
Yeah.
that's in a sense that was like that was just there in a sense I believe to entertain me. A lot of times we're asked to really just trust in the energy. So
Mm.
essentially have faith, which I
Mm.
did do, right? But the mind is an interesting thing. It's you have to learn to make it your servant instead of your master, which is not what
See,
society encourages.
no, no. But I find that title itself, Consortium of Ease, um, it 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 kind of makes you sit and think about it. So it's probably not a bad thing. It makes
Yeah.
someone sit and ponder over it, and which is kind of in line with your group project, isn't it? Is that you all sit and you ponder because it's you're doing a meditation, and then you're it because in that space of pondering really is where messages comes in.
Yeah.
So that's just another word for it, isn't it?
Yeah, and
And
actually
it
the Elevate Me Now group practice that 2 times a week is part of the Consortium of Ease project. Okay,
mm,
so the
mm,
Consortium of Ease project again is a container when people come into it that provides a framework for them to know what practices they should do with their physical body to
yeah.
get in that state of receptivity, what you're talking about there, right?
Mm,
And once
mm,
you get to that place, then what do you do with that information, right?
mm,
Like
mm,
sometimes we just know, right? I'm
yeah.
already in business. I know I wanted to do a summit. I didn't have the title. Boom, I get the title, right?
Mm, mm,
I know that I'm going to go that path, but sometimes we don't know. And sometimes we're just like, like a fish out of
mm,
water.
mm,
So essentially, the Consortium of Ease really is an experience where you'll go from feeling like a fish out of water into feeling more like you kind of understand how things work. And you're
Mm,
not going to know all the answers to everything.
mm,
That's a delusion as well, right?
mm,
But if you know how to navigate it, then that's where it becomes easy. In addition
mm,
to the fact that you recognize that you're in complete and total control,
mm,
you also, because you have that and you have experience, as we do with the group, right? You get that experience of, okay, I've had this energy kind of come in and this is how I feel and this is what I think about it and so forth. And then you get some direction and then you take action or you don't take action, depending on what is a suggestion, right? Not from me, like from source. Um, and then you see how it pans out because when you start living like this, everything gets easier.
mm.
Yep. And
Ease.
I myself, as a widow, and having had many careers, I'm tired of everything being hard. So, yeah.
Mm. Yes, yes, yes. So you're into ease. Hence, that word ease was very important in the
Yes,
title. Yeah, because you're creating the essence of it already and you're concreting it in.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm. Um, so if is it law? So the book is coming, but
Yes.
is the Consortium of Ease Project actually launched yet, even though the book is
So the
still coming?
Consortium of Ease will start January, technically it starts January 16th, the first delivery date of non-meditation. So the first one we meet through the consortium just is the meditation. It's just Elevate Me Now meeting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that. That's a Thursday, I think. So the
Yeah.
16th, the following Monday is when we start with the new information. So it'd be training and supplemental information to help you implement those messages that you're getting through your meditation, but also through the activations.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So those meditation you're talking about is the one that you do privately in between and then
So Elevate Me Now meets Mondays and Thursdays in the
yeah.
United States. Okay, at that time. Um, And like I said, I've been doing that for about 2.5 years now. I'm not
Yeah.
changing that. I
Yes.
wouldn't even give it up even if there was something
Yes.
else, I'd be like, nope, sorry, that's not how
Yeah.
I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Um,
But
but
not
because
everyone is going to join Elevate Me Now, is that correct? Like, I
well,
mean,
if you
so
join
they
the
can,
Consortium of Ease, you get the
yeah.
Elevate Me Now membership with that. And
Okay.
that is
That's what.
part of the practice because
Mm,
a large part of this going into this experiencing self-realization, which ultimately leads to a sense of ease when you apply it
mm,
in everyday life, right?
mm,
That requires meditation. That's the bottom line.
mm,
And you have to experience meditation. You can't
mm,
think about it. You can't talk about it. You can't, put it on the next day's schedule. Like you have to put it on your schedule and show up. And that's a large part of making it every day, right? Like, and I don't mean necessarily every literal day. I
mm.
mean making it part of your actual life and the way
Mm.
that you live in the world. And so some of that's
Yes.
just practice. Some of it's just, pull up your pants and
Yes.
show up,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know?
One thing I recently learned from someone, and they said that if doing it every day seems unattainable, but if you aim for most days, so if you say
Yep.
you've got 7 days out of the week and you do it 4 days out of which is most days, then
Yeah.
it takes that edge off a little, and
It definitely, yeah, in any way you
yeah.
can do that really helps. Like, one of the practices that we have in the group that we were in together with was sitting in discomfort, right? Like, well, not sitting in discomfort, but like doing something that's hard. And I really
Mm,
struggled with that. Like, I
mm,
was like, well, what is the best thing for me to do? And I struggled with it for several weeks. And then one day I was really tired in the morning. And the reason I was tired is because I have great difficulty sleeping. Like,
mm,
that's a
mm,
thing that I have struggled with for a very long time. And anybody who's
mm,
struggled with sleeping knows
mm,
that that's really, really important.
mm,
Um, so anyways, I had struggled with sleeping that night before and I was just exhausted. And I thought to myself, I can almost go to sleep. My old pattern came into my mind, which was, but you need to get up and not be lazy. You have things to do. And then it immediately went back to, but I'm so tired. Oh, I can almost go to sleep. Da, da, da. And then I was like, oh, this is really hard for me to go back to sleep. Like this is part of it, right? Like just even the process, a mental process. And so I was like, okay, here's my hard thing. I'm going to do this. I'm just going to do the practice that allows me to go back to sleep and I'm not going to worry about it. And I did. I went back to sleep for a few minutes and it wasn't a long time,
Yes.
right? But I
Yeah.
did it. And that was probably one of the
Yeah.
hardest things for me to do. And that didn't take, I mean, I don't think I even slept 15 minutes, but anything was
Yeah.
better than nothing. And so that provided uh, exactly what you're talking about. You make the adjustments to things. You have to be clear about what your real goal is, right?
Mm,
So if the real goal is to do meditation most days, that means you just most days is all up for interpretation, right? And it doesn't mean you're weaseling out of it because you're not this student trying to weasel out of things, right?
mm,
You're
mm,
really here because you want to do this. You know that you want
mm,
to do the meditation, so you just do it.
mm, mm,
Or, like if 20 minutes is too long, fine, I'll do 20 minutes, do 5, do
mm,
2.
mm, mm,
Take a deep breath for a few minutes.
mm,
Then you're good. Then you've
mm.
done it. You
Yes,
can
yes.
just check it off and you can feel good about yourself and stop critiquing yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And what I also find is once you get into that role of doing it most days, more than likely you're going to feel the benefits of it and you're going to want to do it more.
Yeah.
So it's it's really just like, you know, an initiation, if you want to call it that, to just to get
Uh,
you into a role of it. And then
yep.
once you find the benefits, no one's going to make you. You're just going to want to do it.
Yep. Yep. Very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
rolling into that ease, right? Like it's
Yeah.
rolling into, oh wait, okay, here's this thing that I thought was hard and I'm going past that area of discomfort. Okay, I did it. Oh, look how I feel different. Look how I think different. Look at the
Yes.
information I get.
Mm.
Notice how my life is changing. Yeah, right. It does. It really just turns into this is a different experience of my life.
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm. Okay, so um, when it launches, well, actually, um, let's bring into the little topic about. I believe you've got a free gift for the audience that tune in.
Yes.
Um, and I'm bringing that up now because I'm thinking if the audience would like that free gift, and they opt in and go into your page, which you'll give us the details, um, then you're also going to be in the list that when Consortium of Ease is launched, you can also let subscribers know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's
So that's what right, the free gift today. So I'll just talk a little bit about that if that's okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mm,
So the
please.
free gift that I'm offering today is essentially what I'm calling a pre-activation for this actual program. So this
Mm,
pre-activation is definitely connected to the Consortium of Ease. I got a very clear message. There's been two recently that
yes.
we were doing the meditation. I was like, this very clear, short and simple. The spirit does make this free. Put it out there, right? Like, so this was one of those.
Mm,
And it turns out through all of the work that we've done on the book, I could go into this later. It's too much to say right now, but basically the nuances of how you go about writing a book and where you're pulling the information from and everything. It's just utterly amazing how it just lines up exactly the way it should. And
mm,
one of those things was this pre-activation. So very
mm,
clearly, make this free, make this available.
mm,
And so I went through the process of doing that. And so that is actually the first part of the Consortium of Ease. It's called the
mm,
pre-activation. It
mm,
will be the first one that we talk about.
mm,
Whether you join it early or you join it at any other time, it's still going to be the first one that you are supposed to be doing through the practice. So it's a really important message and it's about grace. And yeah, when you sign up for that, you will it's all automated on email. So you sign up for it
mm,
and you should get it as soon as you confirm your email
mm,
and you have access to view it and you can rewatch it anytime.
mm,
I think it's about 45 minutes. I don't know for
mm.
certain, but it's a full meditation. It has
Yeah,
Qigong with it. There's a video
yeah, yeah.
demonstration of how to do the Qigong.
Love Qigong. Mhm.
Yeah. And So it's the whole practice, right? It's a whole practice,
Yeah.
full meditation.
Yes.
So you should do it. Everybody should do
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
There was no
Is Can you just read out the link? I'll put it also, the description link, but
actually,
if
okay,
you
so
want
it's
to,
actually really easy.
or
I fixed
yeah,
this up. So it's actually consortiumofease.com.
there you go. Consortiumofease.com, everyone. So make sure you click onto that and do the transmission activation.
Yeah.
Sorry,
We've
activation.
we've called it transmission before too,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, and then look out for the launch date of Consortium of Ease if you feel called to join that group. I suppose if they can also join Elevate Me Now if they feel more called to that. It's a
Yes, they
choice, isn't
absolutely
it?
could. Yep,
Mm,
all those things and all of that is actually on my website. There's a
yes.
tab or a menu item that says join us. And
Mm,
under there are two pages with great detail. One of them
mm,
is Elevate Me Now,
mm,
and another one is Consortium of Ease. So you can actually
mm,
read all about what you would get for the Consortium of Ease project
mm,
on that particular page. That's not
mm,
the same thing as
mm.
consortiumofease.com. That's a sign up for the free gift.
Yes, yes.
But you can read more about the consortium and also Elevate Me Now on the website as well.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And I believe with the consortium is once it's launched, it sort of has two splits into two.
So what
There's
the
a
we
back,
have a
right,
schedule, okay?
yes.
And so I'm not really sure what you mean by splits into two, but we have
Oh,
I
so
think there's
there's a base
oh,
package, and
oh,
then
oh, oh,
there's
okay.
a yeah. Mm,
Okay. So yeah, there's a basic package is open to anybody. Everybody would
yes.
qualify for that. If they're interested in it,
Hmm.
it probably will work. It just depends
Yeah.
on, I want to meet with them and make sure that it's what they want before they make the purchase.
Yes. Yes.
That one's just called a spiritual liberation package. Okay. So that's all about
Yes.
self-realization.
Yes.
There is an upgrade version. The upgrade version is for people who know that they would benefit even more from having more assistance,
Mm,
or maybe they want to consciously create more things in their life that they are at this point not creating yet. Or
mm,
maybe they want to master more fine-tunedly the skills of receiving and taking action and knowing how to do that in a way that actually creates what you want. So it's all kind of connected there. So I call that the purpose-led healers package.
mm,
And so
mm,
in that package, you actually get a few additional, you get some one-on-ones with me, you get some
mm,
group healings, you
mm,
get the one that I'm most excited about and also kind of a little bit nervous about it too, because I've not done this for myself. And I actually told myself, okay, in December, I'm going to practice it before. And I started it, but I didn't do it completely. I call this Silversmith Hour. And the reason I call this is because it's connected to the silver threads of truth. But
mm,
also, a silversmith is somebody who makes beautiful jewelry, right? Like they make jewelry out of silver.
mhm,
So it's the silversmith hour is devoted to being in the creative mode. And
mm,
yes, I have experience in creative ventures. I have a lot of experience. I have a degree in it. Actually, I have an undergraduate degree in graphic design. Um,
mm,
Not everybody has that, and not everybody feels really comfortable with the creative process. I feel completely comfortable with the process. I know exactly how it works. I know how it works in
same.
3D and all of that. Okay, so essentially what this is just a container. It's a time that is scheduled for you, whoever comes, to come in and join and play. Because that's what creativity is, right?
Mm,
It's get in that
mm,
space and have a little fun, but you're
mhm,
putting it on your calendar and you're
mm,
doing it with some guidance of somebody who can help you to understand. For example, if somebody hears the word creativity and they cringe because for all of their life they've been told they're not creative, right? Which is not true for
mm,
anybody. It's a
mm,
matter of what is your definition of creativity. Obviously, the definition is lacking if anybody is told that they're not creative, because
mm,
we as humans create things. That's what we do. That's what we're here
yeah.
for. So
Mhm,
anyways, it's just guidance and support, and that's the one that
Yeah.
I'm most excited and
Yes.
a little bit apprehensive about.
Yeah.
But that is an important practice to go through for this self-realization practice because it
Mm.
forces you to be in the state of openness.
Yes.
And I mean,
Yes.
you've
Gets you in
seen
that zone.
it gets you in the zone, and then we're with you while you're in the zone, so it's not as
Yes.
uncomfortable. And
Yes.
we can help you integrate that into your everyday life. And
Mm.
so the more you do that, like you said, when you step into it, then it becomes easy, and then you
Mm.
want to go to it, and then it's not a big deal, but
Yes.
it's just that
Yeah.
initial kind of
Yes.
jumping into it.
Yes. Yes. And what's
So
coming
there's
through my
lots of addition.
mind. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, so what's coming through my mind is, when you're a child, we make time for this thing. But as
Yes.
an adult, we just gone, I've got no time for that. I've got no time for that. So I feel like what you've done there is like making time. We're getting in touch. We're tapping back into those times when we were a child and we were creative and creating
Yeah.
and being in that flow, and um, we sort of have pushed that aside as we.
Yeah, and that is that's the experience of duality that we
Mm,
have here as humans, okay? So we come in as babies, we're incapable of caring for ourselves, and so we rely on others to take care of us and
mm,
our ability to communicate with them, right? So those others have learned to survive in the same way. They were also infants and they had to survive, and they're whoever their caregivers were, right? Have an influence. So what happens is we as humans have come up with these constructs, which a lot of people like to refer to it as programming. That's an easy term to
mm.
use to
Yes.
describe it, but it's basically belief systems about the way the world works. So what happens is we have these belief systems and they serve us really well at the time that we accept them. But as we grow older, we become more intelligent. We know how to follow our hearts more. Whatever these things are that we're evolving, we tend to lean back on those belief systems which go into our subconscious. So we don't even know we're
Mm-hmm.
doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so essentially it's the unpacking of that, right? It's unpacking of figuring out, for example, nobody wants to break their bones. I fell down and broke my bones. That's unpleasant. That's painful, right? So I have to say, okay, what beliefs am I holding about
Mm,
this? Like one of the
mm,
first questions I got when I shared it with another healer was, have you had something like this happen in the past where it served you well? Like, what did you get from being injured around Christmas time? Right?
Nice question. Nice
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So things like that,
Mm,
where that's the deprogramming. It's letting go of
mm,
what you have learned.
mm.
But that's a huge, huge thing that we're all doing, and we're kind of doing it all the time. Once we have finally unlearned all of it, we'll be completely self-realized. And I don't know that we'll be here, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
Because once we get there, we're definitely more connected to the energy than we are to the
Mm,
physical body.
yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be a very interesting existence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, uh, that's great. That's great. So, um, if I was to ask you if you can give the audience um, some tips on how they can get more energetically aligned, or would you like to do some sort of live demo now?
Well, we can combine those two things. How about that?
Yeah,
Okay.
love it.
So
Love it.
we just touched on something that's really important to understand, which is a basic concept of programming, which
Mm,
is our parents, our ancestors, our community, our maybe our close community, but also our country, and also, frankly, we're connected all the way across the world, right? Like 20 years ago, you and I probably wouldn't have even connected, but
no.
the people around us affect um, those belief systems. And when the belief systems don't serve you anymore is when you need to go into what I call essentially turn the message around and go into the subconscious and try and figure out what's going on. Now, I
Mm,
spent a lot of time training and learning and trying to receive information about how to do that. There are all different kinds of ways, but I'll tell you
Mm.
the best way and the fastest way, and it is what I do every time anything happens, where I feel like, oh, this is a message from the other side that I'm not, obviously I didn't pay attention to because I did something like break my arms, right?
Mm.
Okay, so you have to allow yourself to be in your humanness. Okay. So the first thing I would do is say, take a deep breath. You're just going to put yourself in the place where you have experienced something that doesn't align with you, something that makes you not feel right. Okay. Now you got this idea of what has happened to you in your head. And I just want you to, for a moment, just allow your mind to wander. I want you to entertain a couple of questions. Why did this happen? What were the circumstances that caused it to be the perfect scenario for this event to happen? Who else was involved in these circumstances? How do you feel about this event happening? And now, as you do that, most of the time, there's other people who are involved, whether we know them or not. And if we allow ourselves to really be in our feelings, we tend to, as humans, point the finger at somebody else. And that's okay. Imagine yourself pointing the finger at someone who has impacted you in this situation. And I want you to speak to them and tell them how this has affected you. And is there something that they could have done differently that would have caused the outcome to be different? And now I want you to share with that person or energy what feelings you have about that situation with them involved. Now I want you to take that statement you just gave them, and I want you to open your eyes and come back into this 3D world and just listen to what I'm saying, but we're not going to go into it too deeply outside of ourselves. So I want you to remember what you just told that person and how you felt about it. And now I want you to take whatever is being represented as their energy, whether it be a name or a group name or whatever. And I want you to take that feeling and I want you to say, I feel, and say that feeling. Because I am, and then whatever it is you said to them about what it is that their impact was on that situation. I am feeling what I felt towards that person because I, not them, am doing whatever. Does that make sense? So I'll just share about my broken arm since I've already talked about it. When I did this practice with myself on that, the first thing that came up was I was upset with my husband and I walked out the door really fast. And I asked myself, well, why did I have to walk out the door like that? Why was I upset, right? He was telling me something that was did not feel like it was my truth. He was telling me I was something that I didn't
mm,
feel like I was.
mm.
And I didn't feel like I needed to sit around and continue to listen to it. Like I didn't need to keep hearing that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I take this on myself and say, I feel the same way I felt, which was angry, upset, belittled, disregarded, because I am telling myself I am something I am not. Does that make sense?
Mm, mm, mm,
Okay. So once you take it and you turn it back on yourself, then you get to continue the conversation in your mind about, well, I'm not that, right? Or, whatever it is you need to do to shift that energy, but you take that responsibility off of somebody else, you put it back on yourself, and then you can really deal with it. Where am
mm,
I actually not listening to myself? Where am I
mm,
belittling myself?
mm,
Okay.
mm,
Now, this particular injury is pretty significant, so there's lots of layers to go through with that, but that was
mm,
the first layer for me.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
that's a practice that allows you to take the energy and kind of uncover where the subconscious stuff is.
mm, mm, mm. And I love that you highlighted that at times there are layers to things. It's not just doing that one thing and you're going, oh, that didn't work. I don't know. I've just, but yeah, there needs to be an understanding that there are certain things doing that simple exercise can go boom. Oh, I needed that. But there are certain things it opens up more, or there's more to look into, and but that's the start.
Yeah, and you'll know when you shift something because that's is shifting energy right there. That practice is doing
Mm,
that.
mm,
You'll know when you shift energy really big because it will be, to me, it feels like it's not necessarily that the energy is on your shoulders, but in a way, it's kind of part of your energetic field. And when you shift that energy and then it can be released, you feel lighter. You understand, like, I mean, yeah, you understand mentally, but you also just feel like, oh, I don't have to have that belief structure anymore. It doesn't work anymore. That is, and when it's really, really shifted, this is the key thing. So people who do this kind of work, I heard one of my mentors actually said, when most for the most part when energy healers do their work, it's for them for themselves. It's usually about 85% is what he said, about 85% healed. So why do we keep that 15%? So we can
mm,
help other people. However, that
mm,
doesn't mean that we don't shift things entirely. This has been my experience with shifting things entirely. If you get the message in its totality, you understand it fully, it resonates in your entire body, and you get realigned, you almost forget that it even happened. Like it clears out so much that you just completely stop operating like that,
mm, mm,
operating in a way that was attracting it,
mm,
and it just completely shifts, and you never have that problem again. And
mm, mm, mm,
I had that shortly after I met my husband, but that was because I was willing, and it didn't have anything to do with him, right? It was dealing with somebody else,
mm,
but it was like heavy and strong and really emotional, and I was like, oh, what is this? This is really creepy. I'm
mm,
obviously bringing this onto myself. What is the message?
mm,
And I did that practice, and I realized, oh, that's what it is. And so I immediately shifted, and it was
mm,
gone. I didn't have to worry about it anymore. So much so that this person I was interacting with, I really was like, if I had stayed in that energy, I would have sat around worrying about this person contacting me or harassing me for the rest of my life. But when I
mm,
shifted that energy, I was like, oh, that was what it was. It's
mm.
done. I haven't even thought about it other than to share like this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
great, great. Oh, thank you. Thank you for walking
Yeah.
us through that. Um, I feel like it's something that I'd like to re-listen to and kind of do it again. It's just
Yeah.
the way I work, I guess. Sometimes in private, you can sort of get into it more. But yeah, I did find myself sort of going to a particular situation. Um, so yes, please, audience, everyone, tune in and give it a go. Um, check out Blair's free link and give the activation a go. I certainly will be giving that a go. Sorry, I'm going to be joining that. Um, I'm excited to see what the element of the Qigong part is because, yeah, I am passionate about Qigong. I don't know if I told you, but I during lockdown, I finally gave it a go. It was just always like an interest, but I never did anything about it. So I did it online. It was with an Australian teacher, and then after that, I did a year one. It's another online Wudong Qigong Wudong Temple Academy, and the master in it, he was a 16th lineage holder, and it was really good because I learned a lot of background about Qigong and how a lot of those things we do in this are all splits off. It's split off from the Qigong.
Oh yes.
And
Yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like right down to astrology. It's a split off it and all karate and Tai Chi. It's all, yeah, because the lineage that I learned from it, yeah, they said it was like 5,000 years old and teachings.
Yeah,
And,
I believe it.
you know, sometimes we think old is like old hat, but really there's a lot of wisdom in the old.
Yeah. And I think part of that wisdom that I think people really have to, whether they whether they do when they're young, it's like a natural thing, or they live a life and then they're kind of in a way forced to go back to this. One of the things that Qigong does, and all practices that really get you more grounded and balanced, is it deals
Mhm.
with the body. Like you can't deny that the body is something fairly significant, right?
Yes.
So if you spend all your time in your mind, like our Western world would encourage us to do,
Mm-hmm.
you can get lost in that. And then the body absolutely does not do well with that. So
Yes.
it's like this beautiful balance of getting into the
Yes.
body, getting connected to those energies, and just
Yes.
like being, you know, and
Yeah.
honestly, one thing I love about it is it's very similar to the way I feel about crystals. I like crystals, and I have been told that they should be a crystal healer. I don't have like a whole lot of training in it, but I've always liked them.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, to deflect others who may be judgmental about why do you like those crystals? Why is it such a big deal? I just say, oh, well, aren't the rocks so pretty? And then just that's it. That's all you have to say. So with Qigong, it's like, I want to move my body. Everybody likes to move their body, right? There's
Mm.
nothing woo-woo about that. It's completely
Yeah.
normal to do that. And so it brings all of those things together. It really is a beautiful practice.
It does. It brings all those things together. That's what I learned and I loved. Yeah. Um, just that little bit you brought up about crystals. I was like you. I was like, look, you know, I hear people say all these things about crystal, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, it's pretty, and you know, I'm sure it is, but you know, I was always like, I'm not an expert about crystals, but I found that the majority of the crystals I have were given to me. It's really one of those weird thing I noticed, right?
Oh
It
yeah.
just gets
Yeah.
given to me, right? There's the old ones I bought because there's this one of the work that I do involves having these stones part of one that, and so it's a particular type of session that people can book in, and it involves using the stones part of the healing session. And so they're the only ones really that I recall buying, whereas most
Yeah.
of them have been given to me. Anyway, the one day I had a colleague work on me remotely, and there was this particular point that I went, oh, I just saw like a holographic type kind of square.
Hmm.
So, it's like a 3D
Yeah.
square. And so, like the cut edges of diamond, it's all
Hmm.
cut like that. So I
Hmm.
saw that. And then I said, and then there was like this blending and this green, it turned green. So it's like this blending of this crystal clear cube
Hmm.
with those little cut edges, and then this blending of this beautiful green in. And I went, oh, that was a really interesting experience. And it was like the first time I was shown the how crystal are alive,
Yeah.
and that, you know, and I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool, and I thought, oh, kind of, and I went, thank you for that experience, because I've always gone, yeah, people talk about it, and I've always gone, I'm sure one day I'll be shown or I'll be taught, I always have that patience about me that I'll be shown and taught at the right time. and I don't push things, you know. So I felt that was one time that I was like told, here you are, this is how we
Yeah.
exist, and this is what we're like, and da, da, da. And but my colleague on the other end laughed and said, "Oh, you can't make this stuff up." And she did this little video, very short video, and she sent it to me as a text. And what I experienced at that particular time, remember this is remote, so she was across the globe. She had picked up a crystal clear cube that had a cut edge, just exactly what I saw,
Yeah.
and picked up a green crystal. So both of them, so I saw the experience
Yeah.
of those two merging, but I had no idea
Mhm.
that's what she did on the other end, but I saw the experience. So from that day, I viewed crystal very differently.
Yeah. 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 Crystals are really awesome. And what you're touching on there is holographic, which I just heard somebody talking about. Actually, this was nothing to do with any of this, this woo-woo stuff, right? Like this was
Mm,
a video of somebody trying to illustrate for people, teach people how do you see like different levels of dimensions from different levels of dimensions. So like it was talking about it was actually on Facebook, a little illustration. You've got a 2D flat piece of paper, you've got a sphere, a
mhm,
circle on a paper, right? And the person who's on that paper. And then he was talking about having the sphere come in from the third dimension onto the second dimension. And so as it comes into the second dimension, really that second dimensional person can only see that it grows because as it goes through that dimension, a sphere is a ball, right? So it would
mm,
be smaller down here as it like one plane, if you think about it, right?
mm,
So they would just see a small plane of whatever the sphere is gradually get bigger and then gradually shrink and disappear, right? That's 2D to 3D. So all the other dimensions are like that too, if that makes sense. So living in whatever dimension we're in, when we see things that come up, if they don't, like for example, they talk about the things in the sky, the alien ships or whatever you want to call them, right?
mm,
They
mm,
just appear and then they disappear. That's the
mhm.
same concept of it comes in and it goes through and it's still there because all of this is existing at the same time, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
it's just a matter of seeing. Anyway, so that was interesting you said that because it was an illustration of how holographic things work, how
Yeah.
what like a holographic image, and then there's this idea of things, with the hologram, things replicate, like the system itself replicates, not just one part of it, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes, and that makes brings me to another memory of an experience that I've had. So I was in a workshop, 2 day workshop for kinesiology, Touch for Health,
Mhm.
and my late teacher then did one of the exercise demo, and on one of the students, and literally saw this holographic image. Just it was like a jigsaw puzzle that went and it went
Yeah.
like this. But I'm talking like I wasn't in the meditative state. We were in a
Yeah.
workshop. I'm sitting there. I'm watching and I saw
Mhm.
this like this, and I was stunned because I've never sort of seen this effect before of this hologram shifting and kind of rearranging after from that method that was done.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think I sat there a bit stunned. I didn't say anything. But everyone in that room, they felt the shift. Whereas
Yeah.
I felt and saw the shift, they felt the shift and they went, oh, wow, there's a change in here. Did you guys all feel that? And then the guy I was sitting next to, he looked at me because I said nothing, right? Because I was just sitting there trying to, still going, what did I
What did I
just
just see?
he went, she saw something like this. Like it's gone like this. And he went, oh my God, Lynn saw it. What we felt. And yeah,
Yeah.
so I've also experienced that holographic field shift. And so
Yeah.
very special, very special.
That's another reason groups are important because you experience that and somebody like your experience was a different experience, but it was of the same, exact time, right, of the same situation. So really what that means is you have a gift of, I think it's called clairvoyance when you see, I don't remember all the clairs, but
Yeah.
anyway, you have that gift of sight, right? Whereas
Mm,
other
mm,
people may have had, or maybe that gift of sight is stronger for you than it is for the other people. And we
mm,
all have the ability
mm,
to perceive those things.
mm,
But
mm,
it's not for me, at least, it wasn't until I did it intentionally with a group of people. And then,
mm,
like you said, had a conversation about it.
mm, mm,
Did I realize, oh, yeah, I am getting stuff. I just
mm,
didn't know what to do with it. Like,
mm,
but now you know because now you've had a conversation about it and now you understand what that feels like to have it come in
mm,
and also what to do with it later. And that's the real gift of group
mm.
dynamics.
Yes, yes, yes. And I'm glad you're highlighting that because it is very special. I totally agree. So I will be interested when you launch it, because I've also had an experience that during lockdown, there was a group of us and we all did like daily meditations. And that was a really nice experience. And um, there was a lot of things that we unfolded and learned as a group. So I have had that experience and that was nice. That was just nothing formal. We just
Yeah.
formulated and just organically formed it and did it. And we ended up doing it every day for like nearly a year. It was a very
Yeah.
good effort on our behalf. And then when we wanted a rest over Christmas, New Year holiday here, and then it became just the three of us colleagues that sort of have a similar background in what we do. So it was just us three got together, and we sort of continued for another few months on our own, but it wasn't every day. Um, but yeah, again, in that group, we boom, catapulted
Yes.
and things. And so
Yeah.
I really understand what you're talking about is when you're in a group like that, it really does catapult all your senses, your learning. Um, and sometimes it also validates certain things that you feel and see because you're like, hang on a minute. So what? You mean, wow, that's amazing. So I didn't make it up, because
Yeah.
everyone, just like that experience I told you in that group, everyone felt it, but I saw it. And um, but we can't make it up that everyone sensed there was this shift, from doing
Right.
something.
And when you're in a group, another thing that I really love about it is that the message is always the same regardless of how it comes in. So, for example, when I got the message, make this free, right? Like I heard that. I actually heard that. That's just one of my strong suits, right? And it's
Mm,
stronger at different times. But if
mm,
other people had been in that same energy with me, they
mm,
would have gotten it, but they would have gotten it in a different way.
mm,
One of the people who's in our group, she would have gotten it in an image, like you
mm,
saw that in the hologram or the clicking of the geometric stuff.
mm, mm,
It would have been something like that. But then as she's kind of articulating and sharing it, she would say the same thing. She would say, "This is the message," and it would be
mm,
aligned. And so
mm,
it's just a way of, I think, helping us to really understand more fully that all of the energy is, like if it's connected like that, then you know that it's definitely from source because people aren't,
mm.
everybody's not making it up. It's not just one person. So, yeah.
Yeah, yes, 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 yes. I love it. Love it. Oh, this has been so good and so good. I hope everyone that has tuned in has really enjoyed this interview thus far. And I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom and walking us through the little grounding exercise there. And um, definitely, I will give that another go. And um, I'm definitely going to log in, opt in, subscribe to, and to try out your activation or transmission activation, and look out for when Consortium Ease Project actually launches. And yeah, I'll be very intrigued to be part of this
Cool.
consortium.
I'm excited. Yep. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for receiving. And oh, shall we leave it at that?
Yeah.
Is there something else you wanted to?
Nope.
It's a
You're good.
parting thing. Yeah. Okay.
Nope.
Then
Yeah.
thank you, everyone. Thank you very much again, Blair. And I'll see you on the other side, everybody. Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.